Erickson here with blonderunner.com. I will be doing a triathlon clinic for a local triathlon today, and I wanted to go through how to set up transition. Already got it set up here, and if you're watching this on my website, down below you'll see I have a picture of how I've set up my mat. This is a sprint distance triathlon, so each race is a little bit different, but I'll give you some great tips in this video on how to make those transitions faster. I always like to tell people it's much easier to shave off 1 minute in transition than it is to shave off 20 seconds per mile in a 5K. So if you practice this, you can get a lot faster. And yes, transitions times count in your overall time. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to teaching you. I've been doing triathlon for about 15 years now. And like you said, I've had a lot of, my actual very first triathlon was a Labor Day triathlon. Do y'all remember when the bubble was here? Yeah, it was the bubble. We laid our bikes on the grass. So we've really upgraded. And you know, racks like this are very common in triathlon now. You've noticed as people that are going to be riding with us today have their bikes set up. One is one direction and it's hooked by the saddle, and then the other one is the other direction. That's very common for a lot of races. So I'll be alluding to, I've done races all over the world. I've been to Africa, I've done the World Championship there. So I've been to Hawaii, I've been all over. This has been a wonderful thing. All right, I want to get to what I've set up for you guys so you can see. On my website, I will have a picture of what this looks like close up, since you're not really seeing this angle, but I'll go through everything. So I like to go through kind of I'm very chronological, so I like to go through the chronological. At this point in your training, like I was saying before, you don't just all of a sudden start integrating the other two and not affect the other one. Like if I'm a runner and I start integrating cycling, it's going to affect my running. So one of the things that you should always have done already by now, and if you haven't, one of the reasons I like to offer this clinic like 10 days before or whatever, is so you can take what I'm teaching you and incorporate it already. So being a coach, I train people, and training matters a lot. It's the engine. Yes, it's nice if you have a nice bike, and you're going to go a lot faster on a road bike versus a mountain bike. But when you start, mountain bike is fine. One tip I will give you for a mountain bike is blow up the tires as high as the PSI tells you. If it's not a rainy day, that will give you a little bit less tire resistance. That will help you get a little faster. I was going to encourage you to do a brick workout. How many of you guys have heard of a brick workout before? And you've done one, right? Hopefully. If you have not, I highly encourage you to do it before a race. You don't want to find out in the race that once you get off your bike and start running, your legs feel like bricks, right? So you want to try that in advance. And I will tell you, for me, it's actually easier to run off the bike now. When I first started, your legs are like, whoa, because your muscles are used differently in both the different sports. And so I think getting used to that, feeling it, is going to help you a lot. Transitions matter. I remember one of the first races I did, and these ladies were chit-chatting before, and I could tell they needed some help in transition. So I always like to help people. And I'll be there on race day, and I'll help you in transition. I love to, help you out. So you're nervous, you don't know what to do. So I was helping them out, and I remember as I was coming, I had already done a swim, and I was coming back on the bike, and they were coming out of the swim into transition, and they were chit-chatting. I mean, they were having tea and crumpets, and they were just having a good old time. And I remember thinking, wow, they're really taking their time, aren't they? And I, took off and then finished the race. And then after the race, I remember these two little cute ladies. They're looking at results, and I'm like, oh, transition time was part of it? And I'm like, yeah, transition. They had no idea. So I just want to teach you from their mistake is, yes, transition counts. So that transition time matters. And I like to teach people that it's so much easier to practice transitions and shave off, especially for this sprint distance. It's so much easier to shave off a minute in transition, easy, by practicing it, versus 20 seconds per mile on the 5K, which is easier. I mean, crank it up 20 seconds on the mile, you tell me, right? So it is important to practice transitions. Before I ever did one, I went and watched a few so I could see I had a lot of questions, like, do I shower between? Do I change clothes? And I remember training through that triathlon and the night before going, oh, what am I gonna wear? I had no idea. And that seems, and maybe it's a girl thing, oh my gosh, what am I gonna wear? It wasn't like that. It was like, I don't know what to wear. When I ran, I wear running clothes. When I cycled, I used cycling clothes. When I swam, I used swim clothes. And I was like, I really didn't think about that part. I was great at the training, and I even practiced transitions through my garage. I hosed myself off, and I ran through, I did everything pretty good, except that night before I was freaking out. What do I wear? So I always like to talk about what to wear before a triathlon. You can see I'm in this is a tri kit. This is a one-piece tri kit. I'll use this for shorter races.
For longer races, I use a 2-piece because if I have to go to the bathroom in the race, this is much harder to get off than that. So I do suggest a 2-piece for longer, like half Ironman races. This, I didn't know this. So what I did for my first triathlon is I wore my swimsuit and I put I put my cycling shorts on, and actually, not smart. Hey, not smart. I tried to put my cycling shorts on in transition over my wet body and swimsuit. I about pulled a muscle, okay? That's one thing I could have done better. And I want to share some other tips and things I could have done better. Now, I actually did realize that, how many of you guys are still afraid to like grab your water bottle while you're riding? Don't be afraid, just go ahead, raise your hand. Okay, I was a total chicken, you guys are better than me. But I was so afraid to like let go of my bike. This isn't the bike I raced with first, that I set up a bottle and I put a tube in it. I didn't know about the camelback part, so I kind of stopped it with my tongue and pull up. They actually have bottles that do that. So I kind of created this for myself, and now realizing they actually sell bottles that do this. And this way, when I'm in, this is a time trial bike, so a little different than other bikes. It's specific to triathlon, but I can drink while I ride. So if you're really interested in that, I mean, there are more expensive bottles, but for me, it's totally worth it. Now I'm very comfortable grabbing a bottle at the same time and all that, but at first I was not. And the nutrition does matter. So let's talk about nutrition a little bit. I will, if you've all gotten your name on the newsletter, sign up with that yellow paper. Please do. Please put, even if you've signed up for it already, because I will send out a little follow-up email, and I'll have the links to things I talk about in here. I know I mentioned that to you before, but I can't teach you everything I know. I've been competing for over 30 years. I was a collegiate runner. I ran on scholarship, and like I said, I've been all over doing this. So I can't possibly teach you. I could. We could be here all day and all night and all day. I could teach you everything. But it's better if I can allude to some of the articles I've written on my website. It's free to you. I've done a lot of videos as well to teach you stuff, to make it a little bit easier. I'm actually teaching you the stuff I wish I would have had somebody teach me, because there weren't classes like this. I didn't know. I was the only one that did this. I had no one to teach me. So I learned it, and I kind of make my own stuff up. And you'll see that I do that, and that's okay. So in terms of nutrition, for this particular race, this is called a bento box. You can bring something like this. I usually strip down my bike for races like this. I want it to be as light as possible. And then I would recommend, on an hour bike ride, I would recommend 20 ounces of water per hour. For this race, it's a 12-mile ride. Some of the fastest riders, 25, 28, but most of you will be 45, 50, an hour long. So during the bike, 20 minutes. So those ladies I told you, they were chit-chatting and drinking all, having tea crumpets and they're, you don't need to do that. You need to do it on the fly. Now, I know you guys are like, I am not like that serious chick. She's like winning, okay? But you will care when you get to look at your results and your friend beats you by 3 seconds. You will be like, it's funny how that brings out people's competitive spirit, but it really does, and they're not really, they say they're not competitive until your friend beats you. And see, if you can beat them, that would be great, right? 20 ounces of water on the bike with electrolyte. I'm a big fan of electrolytes. As I've gotten older, I'm not a young chicken anymore, but as I've gotten older, I've noticed my electrolytes deplete quicker. And so you're better off going into the race with good electrolytes in your body. When I do longer races, I actually carry them. Like in a marathon, I'm carrying them along. I've already been out there for hours. I'm going to deplete electrolytes. I'm going to have that. But if you've had cramping before, you definitely want to have this. Or if you just don't feel good, you're feeling nauseous, some of that is electrolyte imbalance. These are really great. I also use caps before races and stuff, and so I do have a discount code for these. It's on that flyer there, and great product. I will tell you, I am contacted all the time to promote products.
What's the name of that?
It's the Salt Stick, and they have caps and everything. But I am contacted all the time to promote products. I only promote the ones I like. So if you ever see me promote something, I really like it, I'm being honest in my review. So if I'm promoting it with a code, I really like the product. I'm trying to save you money on something. Come on, I want you to get it that bad because it helps you. I have been in races, well, granted, I had done an Ironman, half Ironman the week before, and then I did one the week after, so I had 2 in a row, 7 days apart, and traveling back from Hawaii and into Boulder. and I had some cramping going on, and this saved my bacon on the run having electrolytes. Oh my gosh, because I was cramping in the calves. And if you ever had cramping and it goes up into your hamstrings and then when it hits your feet, oh my gosh, it's not fun. And so that happens when in races. When you're, I hope, how many of you guys want to do an Ironman? I mean, yes. Okay, okay. Well, maybe. All right. Yes. You know what? I was a collegiate 5,000 meter runner. That's a 3.1 5K runner, right? And I had that, like I said, I saw that picture of Ray Browning and I thought, that's what an Ironman is. Another good product, especially if you're training and you decide, hey, I want to do an Ironman, this is a need. Anytime I ride my bike, I use chamois butter. Now, I like to talk about it because it's one of these kind of personal things that people don't really talk about. When you ride, you don't need underwear. When you ride with cycling shorts, and use this on your parts. And it's where your sit bones are. So it's on the side and then the front. If you're in a transition and you're in an arrow position, it's right on the front. That will hurt a little bit. I use a whole packet, and this is just chafing. She has samples. Please take one and try one. You're thinking, oh, well, I don't get sores or I don't have anything like that. If you use it, you'll see, oh, I do have a little bit of movement down there. This helps prevent chafing. This can be used on your toes. It can be used under your arms or between your legs. Anywhere where you get chafing. Also, chamois butter, they have what's called a glow stick. And so it's actually a higher melt point. And so I really like it because it doesn't melt. Sometimes with long races, they have these little travel ones, and you've given some of those away before. I will take that along, because if I'm in a half Ironman or Ironman, I've been out there for a while, and it wears off. And so when I do my open water swimming, I have a sleeveless. I will put it under my arm so I don't get that chafing or on my neck and stuff. So has a higher melt point than some of the other products out there for chafing. So I particularly like chamois butter. It's also more economical. So I tried them all, and I will tell you this is the best value in terms of pricing. And getting a big tube of it and using it, huge. If you can be more comfortable on your bike, because you know it does hurt, you're going to do better in the race. So more comfort, good. So those are some things that you just need to be aware of. Great products. Okay, so you see how I've set it up. I have a transition mat here. Another good thing, I always like to share DIY things. I'm a DIY girl. So one of the inexpensive ways that you can set up transition if you don't want to get a $20 mat like I have that's bright colored, which is so nice. I have done races. I did the World Triathlon in San Diego. Oh my gosh, transition was huge. Like it's big all the way over that road, and you had A, B, C, D, and then double B, it was like bingo! I found my, have you ever parked your car and you're like, where am I? Beep beep. You don't have a beep beep. You can't find your bike. So you have to remember where you're at. Bingo, right? So these races aren't big. You're gonna have your transition set up over there. It's probably gonna be pretty easy to find your bike. But when you're in big races, and hopefully you all continue with this and do your Ironman and things, they're big races. So having a transition mat that's bright is good. However, you can also get a yoga mat and cut a piece out for yourself. Any color you want, and that's a very inexpensive way to get a transition mat. The reason I like this better than a towel is because a towel will blow or move. And this can blow, but a lot less likely because it's a little, thicker mat, so it's not going to do that as much. Gives you something to wipe your feet off on. So as you see, I set it up. Again, I'm a chronological person. So you're going to get here, you're going to hopefully see and say hi to me, and I'll be, in the transition, or inside when you guys check in. You'll be given a bag like this, very similar to this. It will have 2 numbers in it. You're going to be given a timing chip. I actually have my road ID on my left ankle here, but that's where I would put it. I would put this little hard part on the outside. If you ever run and you kick yourself, you'll be happy that you have it on the outside. But it's better, it reads better too. So put it on the left ankle. I like the left ankle because it stays out of my chain ring when I run. Okay, that's why I choose the left ankle. And that's pretty common actually. So yes, you want to put that timing chip on. You also want to get here early enough where you have time to set up your transition and then go, go to the bathroom or whatever you got to do. Also, I set up my transition, then I move my bag out of transition. You want to get anything that could potentially be in somebody else's way or get stepped all over out. Simplify. My first transition, I had a bucket I sat on and all that. I've learned to very much simplify everything in transition. So this is all you do need. Just only have what you need and use only what you need. Anyway, so you're going to pick this up. You're going to get numbers put on you. I will say I'm a sunscreen girl. I totally encourage it. However, wait for your numbers and then put your sunscreen around it. If not, they won't stick to you at all. The numbers are important because it, one, identifies you as a racer, and then if you have any like problem, we can identify you and get you help and know who you are. So let's hope that doesn't happen, but I will tell you, all races are open to the traffic. They have to be. We also have to we have to leave these areas. A lot of people, oh, why don't they just shut that area and only let racers do? We can't. For fire safety reasons, we have to open those areas that you go out onto the road and stuff. So be aware. And they also have a bike number here. With this number, if you have a long enough stem, you can put it here. Most people put it here. So it has these little things here that you can put together, and then it stays on your bike, right? So I will say, some of you might have, most tubes are closed now. You'll see with this bike here, it isn't. You got an exposed cable. This exposed cable is your brake cable. Do I want to tape it right over the brake cable so it doesn't move? No, I don't. So I want to feed it, and then I'm going to rip off the ends and then put it in there. So I'm not slowing that cable down, because that's a brake cable and you don't want to do that. So yes, you'll be given a number for your bike, and then you'll also be given what's called a bib number. So I've already put a number on my bib here to show you, but you'll have one, of course, you want to use the one that they've given you and match it up. But I put one on. So, you know, I told you I'd tell you to make you faster. These are things I didn't know my first triathlon, but I learned, and I did pretty well. I mean, I can't complain. First place is not bad on your first one, so I'm not going to complain. But I could have been faster, you know, if I would have done things even better. So, I'm going to teach you two things that you need to buy. Not expensive, but a very important thing. If you ever done Ragnar, these are really good to have too. A number belt. If you can do as much as you can do on the fly while you're moving, that's movement that you're not standing there and that time is just accumulating in your transition team situation, right? So, belt. Putting your number on there, having it ready to go is going to be good. And in transition, another thing that I like to get is called lock laces. I actually, or elastic laces, there's different brands. I like to just use it on the end, the top. You can actually feed it through all of your laces because I use that fast for Ironman and things. I don't like the movement. I wouldn't use elastic laces for a trail run where there's a lot of movement of your foot, you get blisters or something, but I just do it on the end. This makes your foot, I'll show you how much faster your foot will go in these as versus tying your whole shoe. It's already tied, it's ready to go. I just make it so it's easy to slip on and still stays on my foot. So I'll show you how that works when I go through that. And then I use a visor for races for me particularly. So that's all you need. You need your, how many of you guys are switching shoes? You're gonna use cycling shoes and then running shoes, so most of you. So we'll go through that. You know, my first race I didn't have clip pedals. I was a pansy, I didn't have clip pedals. I had cages, and I had my running shoes, and boom. See, I still did fine. So it's just have what you have and get used to what you do. Just, you know, have your tri-kit on. If you don't know what you're wearing, you've got a week to figure it out. These are very comfortable. One piece is your kit. You don't have any chance. When you got a two-piece, if you're like this, sometimes there's that strip that can get burned. Just saying, wear sunscreen on your back too. Just throwing it out there. All right, so we've got it all set up. One thing I like to do is I like to make sure that my, of course, brakes are working. Anytime you travel with your bike anywhere in your car, you want to make sure your brakes are working, that your brakes are not rubbing. I've actually had that in a race. It was just not fun, and I didn't want to stop and fix it, right? So, and then make sure your chain is on. I've seen that before. A lot of times when I help in transition, I do kind of help and look for those things like, oh, your chain is off, you know? Or you're in a really hard gear, or you're too easy gear. Make sure your gear is what it's going to be. We are flat when we go out. So make sure when you set it up, or when you end your last ride before, you have what you need. One other thing about setting up a bike, before I ride almost every time, and I ride quite often, you know, maybe every day, maybe if I'm riding every day that week, I might only pump up my tire every other day, but these tires, especially road tires, lose pressure really easy. And so it's not like when I was a little kid and I could go, oh yeah, my tire's good. No, you actually have to put a pump on and see what the pressure is. If you're not sure, most road tires could go up to 120 psi. I go about 90, 95. There's a little, if you read all the research, you'll see that there's some ricochet, and it's a little better than having a higher pressure. I decrease the pressure a little bit if it's rainy, so I have a little more traction. So that's good to know. But do make sure you can check on the side of your wheel what your pressure is for your tire. Question?
So you do that like every other day?
Every other ride, yeah. Often. And if my bike's been sitting there a week, which is rare, if it were, I would definitely pump it up. You always need to check. It loses pressure easy just because it's a road. Or you have a leak. Like, if it's obviously low, you might have a leak. You obviously need to change that. That being said, it's important to have a transition bag or your bike bag on the bike. It depends on a race if you're going to need that, and if you're going to have to call somebody or something. But obviously longer races you need that. If you don't know what goes in a bike bag, I actually have on my Instagram account, The Blonde Runner, I have a picture of what I put in my transition bag. And you can look at that. And I talk about that on my website and stuff like that. This is free resources to you guys. It doesn't cost you anything to go check it out. And I've spent years doing this, so it's only your benefit to look at it. Anyway, so that's good to have. Most likely, hopefully, none of you will have to change your tire. I guess it does happen, but it's important to know how. I do have a video on how. And I can put a link to that in the newsletter, or in the email that you put on the newsletter, sign up on the yellow paper. So if you're on there, you'll be getting a link to learn how to change your own tire. That's good to know. It makes you feel better. Okay, so in terms of chronological, we're gonna go swimming. With the swim, how many of you guys have timed yourself on a 350? Good. Time yourself on a 400 because it's about a little longer because you're snaking, you're serpentining across the pool. So what that means is you're going to go in one lane, you're going to go down to the other end of the lane, you're going to go under the lane line and come back. Okay? So down. Practice this. Practice pushing off the wall, then going under the lane line. It's not a stop, dunk, go. It's better if you hit the wall, push under, and go under and off the wall. It's faster for everyone. If the etiquette for swimming is if somebody taps your foot, that means they're coming and they want to pass you. That's not what everybody necessarily does, but that's the etiquette. If someone taps your foot, you should move to the right or left or get out of their way when you get to the end and let them go. Okay, I think that's the smart thing to do. When you practice both directions. You'll notice when you serpentine one time, you'll hit the lane line on your left. The next time you hit it on the right. So practicing both ways is going to be important to you. And when you line up, you're going to get numbers and stuff, but when you line up for the race, it's okay to move around and talk to people. If they don't know what their time is for 350, you probably want to get in front of them. If they're a fast swimmer, maybe they're on a swim team or something, and they're like a 4:30, go for it. Let them go ahead of you. It's okay, right? But get where you need to be. I've actually been impeded in races before where people are like, oh, I want to get done sooner. I'm going to move up to the front. That's not good for you or them because people have to move around you. So if you haven't timed yourself on I would say 400. And the reason I say 400, again, you're serpentining. You're going an extra 50 at an angle. So it is really 350, but because you're serpentining across the pool and then getting out at the other end, which is going to lead you to getting out of these doors right by that white car. So you're going to get out of these doors, you're going to run to transition, which will be over here. If you look at your transition map, you'll see this is all outlined for you. Okay, so transition map here, you're going to be getting out of the water over here. Everything is the same direction. So you're going to go in transition at this end. You're going to run to your bike, get your bike, clip your helmet, and then head out the other direction. Ride the route, which is going to be well marked. There is a novice that turns off. If we're riding today, we'll go to Pages and we'll take a left, and then we'll follow the route around, and then we'll come back in. So you'll come in right here, go straight. You can ride your bike. One thing you need to know is you'll grab your bike, you'll run it out of transition. I'll be in there saying, hey, clip your helmet before you grab your bike. That helps a lot. There'll be a mount line. You can't get on your bike until after the mount line. And when it comes to coming in, we'll have a dismount line. You have to be off your bike before the dismount line. Now, I was probably just doing lots of races all over, and I was doing the USA Triathlon or national championships in Vermont. This guy came, yes, you can get a few extra seconds here. Totally wiped out, was going way too fast on the way in. And it just is silly to watch because, yeah, they're competitive and that's great. Unless you practice doing it really fast like that, you can get hurt. So just slow it down. It's really, and I'm not, I don't have to do fancy that stuff. I'm just very distinct with my movement, so I'm not. That if anybody falls, that's where they fall, on the bike or off the bike. So just be careful, slow it down. We'll have people probably trying to tell you, if you see this, that means slow down. That's okay. Get off your bike, put your bike obviously in the same spot, not anywhere you choose. I've had that happen where somebody put their bike in my spot. It's like, oh my gosh, try to get it up there, it was fun. Everything's happened. I've been through it all, so yeah, put it in your spot. Once you have your spot, it's your spot. That's why I say have a colorful mat, you know where your spot is. And this is actually pretty roomy. This is be more like it is. Sometimes if you get on a rack, it will be self-racked. So the sooner you get here, the more choices you'll have. And I'll talk to you about what is the better choice in terms of racking. Well, I'll just say that. Okay, so we're going in this direction, we're going out that direction. For me, if I were setting up for this race, I would put my bike on this end. And the reason being is when I get off my bike is where my legs are wobbly. Remember the brick workout? That's when they're wobbly. I want to get rid of my bike first. But that means I'll have to carry it a little longer after the swim, but I'm much less wobbly after a swim than I am run. I want to drop that bike off as soon as I can and then haul my butt out of there on the run, right? Haul my butt out of there and I'll show you kind of how I do it. So anyway, everything in is that way, everything out is the other direction, on the other end of transition. When we ride it, I'll show you. We can probably see maybe the dismount line and stuff. We'll just kind of stop for a second. When we do the ride, it is no drop. So you're not going to be left. And if you're left for a little, we'll stop and everybody will regroup. So it's not like you have to be intimidated. It takes a little longer. You have to be patient if you're faster, and that's okay. But we want everybody to experience throughout. And we'll stop and I'll teach you safety things and hand signals, and a lot of times I'll give you feedback on your form. That's what I do as a coach, is give you feedback and help you be better at what you're doing. So this is a good place to be, right? So that is transition for the most part. And again, so I have my cycling shoes. They're open and ready to go. I have, obviously it's on the mat. I have my number belt ready, my running shoes ready, my visor ready. I have my helmet open. I have my glasses on and open. I have a towel. Not always do you need a towel. In some races, I always like to talk about a towel because in this race, it's no big deal. I don't wipe my feet. I'm just done. We're good. But I have been in races like, let's see, Bear Lake, and once you run through all this sand and you get to your transition, you don't want to put sandy feet in your shoes. You will have chafed feet like there's no tomorrow on that, okay? If you want to see a beautiful chafe, look at my Texas Ironman. I had some grass in my shoe on that marathon. Totally ate up my toe. I mean, I had like a blister ripping off. It looks lovely. And you run with that, and it's really hard. So it's better to kind of clean your feet. And even though, you do it fast in transition, and sometimes you miss something. And that got missed. But I will say, a towel is really helpful for those kind of things, when you're getting sand off and things. And I've even, like Bear Lake, I actually bring a little bucket of water and I step in and then wipe off again, because that sand will stick to you. I don't know if you, anyway, if you do other races, that's good for you. So I've got my cap, I've got my goggles. I'm gonna give you, I'm just helping you all so much. Okay, so I have learned, because I had a triathlon team for 10 years, and we test everything. We tested in the water. The best thing to do to get farthest in the water is better in terms of starting the swim. You can drop in and push off the wall, or you can jump out and then push off the bottom. So which do you think is faster? Jumping out is so much faster. We tested them all and it didn't matter, because I thought, oh, the sooner you push off. No, it's much better if you jump out. Be careful, you don't want to slip. But jump out, then start. You're going to be ahead. Just get, a little bit ahead, but that might be the 1 second that you beat your friend, right? No.
Jump out, not dive.
Nope, jump, don't dive. Thank you, good point. Do not dive, you're in the shallow end anyway, okay? And nerves are going. Actually, go to the pool this week and practice that. Matter of fact, practice, they'll say go. So start your watch, jump out, and swim your 400. Maybe you can serpentine after, you can't do that really during, all the time. But just practice that. I do 400, like I said, and see what your time is if you don't know. Or see what your time is now. Your time in high school, it's not the same. I'm just saying, My times have actually already gotten better, but I mean, not everybody's like that. So you've got to make sure you test it now. See what you can do now. Anyway, I got my swim cap. I think they're providing them. I'm not sure on the caps. Yeah? Okay?
Yeah.
They'll have swim caps. You got your goggles, you jump out, of course you got them on. I have seen that before. Oh crap! You know, you're nervous if you don't put them on your eyes. I've seen that before. Anyway, jump out, serpentine. Pass people if you need to, whatever. Then you want to get out at the end. I wouldn't recommend running on deck, but walk fast. And then when you get outside, you'll cross transition mats. That's why, you know, make sure you have your timing chip on. What time does transition close?
About 7:15.
That means 7:15. Everything needs to be, you need to be out of transition with your chip on. Once we start that timing system and you cross that mat, your time just started. And you're not even near the pool, right? So that messes up all the results. Please make sure you're here, you set it up, and you get out. And if you see, I've seen other people, it's like, help them. If they need help, they're like, you have to be out at 7:15. Tell them. I'll be in there reminding people, but it really makes everything smoother. You know, you're waiting for results and everything. It's because people aren't starting on, you know, we can't start on time unless you guys start on time. See? So make sure you get here, set it up, get out by 7:15. Plus you want to just get going, right? You'll be on deck and you'll line up according to time that you think you can. So that's when you want to talk to people. And actually, I think they set you up in the natorium and then take you in groups. So make sure that you understand like what time. That's really what you need to know is what time. And then in terms of the number, no, you don't put your number on and swim with it in the water. Okay, that's for your bike and that's for the number belt for running. We have markers on your arm. That's what determines you're in the race in the water per se. So you got that. We're gonna come running out. Get your if you ever do a wetsuit one, I do have a clip on how to do your wetsuit, take it off and all that stuff. But this one, it's simple. You don't have to do it. This is a great first one actually. So I'm glad you're doing it. So I set this down. Then obviously I wouldn't have a hat on. I'm gonna set my obviously I put my shoes on first usually because I'm already that's all that water drip, and then I put my helmet on. Now when I practice. This is the things that slow you down. It's like, am I putting my right shoe on first? Am I putting my left shoe on first? Am I putting my glasses on? I always put my glasses on before my helmet. Those are the things that you practice before. And obviously I wouldn't have had to adjust that. I would have been more ready. I would have been more ready. Anyway, so I'm gonna get that, then I'm gonna get my bike and go, right? I'm gonna put my hat back on because you know I'm filming this time. Okay. Then I'm gonna grab my bike. Now, I always put my pedal up on the side that I push off on so I can get started sooner, right? I'm gonna have my helmet clipped, and then I'm gonna grab my bike and roll it. Now, one thing I see people doing all the time is, they didn't do their helmet. Like, and I'll help you, but like, put it up, clip it before you start running with your bike. And I would say, just like anything else, practice. I practice running with my bike. So, like, if you run it with the saddle, you're going to be faster. Okay? I know, you guys are like, that shit is serious. Yeah, but you would be too, I'm telling you. I'm going to beat you by 1 second. I wish that you would have listened to me. That's okay, we'll do it the next time, right? Alright, boom. Now, do my thing. I want to talk about nutrition a little bit more. So, I told you how much liquid you need. And a lot of people, I like to talk about nutrition because a lot of people don't understand nutrition. Okay, so I just have a sample here. You can do whatever product you like. I don't do it, so I'm so excited. I'm out of breath. Okay, I'm really in better shape. I'm just saying. I'm out of shape from pushing my bike. Oh, that's bad. Okay, so little trick here. This will make your, if you don't want to put stuff in a bento box. I noticed we've got a good example right here of somebody putting their gel or their chomps right on the top. Now I hope whoever did this did it right? We cleaned our bike so it didn't have dirt, and we maybe licked the bottom, or sometimes you can cut them open and they stick really well. I've seen these all over people's mats before because they didn't stay on. So if you do those, you can pop them right on the top. Another fun trick is that you can use 2 zip ties, and you put them like this so there's 2 ends so it doesn't rotate. And then you put that on your top tube, and then you can feed them onto that. That's another way that you can take those without having to have a box. Another thing is putting a gel. I like to tape it directly where it's going to rip off and open. And then I tape a loop around the bottom. So even though this isn't a USAT sanctioned event, I like to teach the rules for that. So we're going to talk a little bit about triathlon. it on the other side. So as I take my gel, I am able to not lose it, because in any USAT race you can get penalized for losing it. And we want to keep these races going, and we don't want to have a bunch of trash all over leaving in our the wake of the triathlon. We don't want to have all that. So make sure that you take back the nutrition or products or anything that you have already on that. So I just tape it on the top too with strapping tape. Make sure your bike's clean, and boom, I rip it off, have it right on the bike. You only need about 20 grams for my size. I would only need about 20 grams of carbohydrate on the bike. That will help your run, okay? So running often results from not having proper nutrition. Bad running, I would say. Not having proper nutrition on the bike. And I will say, if you've never trained with nutrition, the first time that you do, you might find that you're not feeling good, and it's not always the product. Gels maybe don't go as well as other, the chomps or things. But a lot of times your muscles, the reason that your heart rate is so much lower on the bike is because you're pumping your own blood, and your legs are helping pump that blood. So your heart doesn't have to work as hard. When you run, you're upright, and now you've got to pump the blood a lot farther. And so your heart rate's higher when you perform. Probably noticed that? The best time to get nutrition is when more blood volume is available to digest it. That would be on the bike. That also happens because your heart rate's different. But that also happens when you train with it, you get better at it. So don't give up on having nutrition on the bike if you're woozy the first time. Well, your body's confused. It's used to using all that blood for your muscles, and now it's having to use it to digest your food. And so that's why you don't feel good at first, but when your body adapts and creates more blood volume, you don't get so woozy on taking nutrition in training. You haven't practiced that and you want to have a better run. If you want a better run at this race, do 20 grams of carbohydrate for my size person. If you're a little bit bigger, maybe male, you may need 2 gels on a 12-mile bike ride, or I would say per hour. So you may need 1 still and be fine.
But you also need to drink water with the gel or blood.
Yeah, you'll see it's really syrupy. So yes, so your 20 ounces in addition to 20 grams of carbohydrate. I actually have a lot of nutrition videos that it teaches you how many grams of protein do you need, how do we eat healthy. I teach diabetic dieting actually. So anyway, those are some tips for you in terms of nutrition that will help your run and you will be faster. Okay, so taking that on the fly, right? Not tea and crumpet situation. We are not chit-chatting in transition. We are doing it on the fly. We're grabbing that bike, we're getting our nutrition on the bike. When I get my nutrition, I always time it, not usually when it's congested and I'm riding around a bunch of people, or when I'm going up hills, or when I'm going down hills. It's gonna be your flattest part. So today, when we ride, pay attention. Where is a good spot to get nutrition? And if I remember, I'll tell you, this is where I'd be taking my nutrition. Now it all depends. There are people right around me too. I won't know that till the race. But I'll have an idea. This is probably a good place, right? I'm off a busy road, it's not so busy, and that kind of stuff. So plan it out. A good race is a well-executed plan. So have a plan, have a time, have goals, all that stuff, okay? And practice it all. Like I said, I want you to all go home. You promise me that you'll go home this week and practice transition. Set it up, get yourself wet, hose yourself down, and have all your neighbors think you're crazy, and that's okay. I'm still crazy, and look, I'm still neighbors with them. They all get me now. They understand. Same house. Been years. Okay. Then, so yeah, get on our bike, and then I'm gonna come back, and I told you I'd show you. So obviously, I'm putting this all down. I'm switching out my shoes. Now, I usually set it up a tad bit different when I race. I usually have it like this. That would be out of the way by now. That wouldn't even be in there at all. Then I'm gonna take my visor. So I would switch out my shoes, take all that off. My glasses remain on, right? These are, by the way, I'm a big fan of Hoka. They're my sponsor. So love the slides, by the way. So I have my socks. I ride sockless. If you've never done it, you should try. And then I put my socks on. These are pretty tight. I like them pretty tight when I race. So I'm gonna put those on. But you see, if I were to have a little race with someone and not talk during, I would be a lot faster at getting my shoes on than someone that has to tie their shoes. So boom, I have it, I grab my belt and I run. And my hat, and I put them on as I go, okay? I don't use nutrition on the run, hardly ever. Maybe I'll spray myself down with a little bit of water, dump it on my head. Maybe I'll take a little bit to wet my whistle, but I've already had it all
my brain works faster than my mouth. And I have it already on the bike, right? And so I put this on as I run. Boom. When you come around to finish, you will want Oceanside, by the way, that's the race I'm doing next. It's usually in April, but they moved it because of COVID. So Halloween, be thinking of me. I'll be racing my butt off. I made it to Worlds last time, the year before, and I'd like to go again. So we'll see if I can qualify.
One thing, you didn't say anything about it, but it's a big difference having those short socks.
Yes, to put them on.
Yeah.
I do use compression socks for recovery, for shorter races, even longer races, but I do use short socks for these kind of races, yeah, to make it fast. So, boom. When you come around to finish, put your number in the front. That helps with them and timing and stuff. It's just good to identify you two in the race. So, boom. Simple. Pretty easy, right?
Anything that needs to be clipped, make sure it's unclipped to start.
Well, I always clip it so it doesn't twist.
Well, like your bike helmet.
Bike helmet. You notice how I have it open. And now I've had a lot of people go, oh, I just put it up here. And I've had a lot of people go, oh, somebody hit my bike and it rolled and who knows where it's at. Like, I like it on the ground. I know it's not going to move. Somebody, I guess, could step on it. That's happened before in races. But anyway, that's simple. It's just really want to keep it simple. And like I said, practice. Which legs first? All those things stutter and slow you down. And even if you're not to win, it doesn't matter. I think you have a better experience if you feel polished, like, I know what I'm doing now. I mean, I hope you all are learning like this. Maybe you don't know what you don't know. I love to tell people that because they don't. And then did you all know this before you came here? Let's hope you learned something new that you didn't know before, right? So, if it's not just to entertain you, with all the mistakes I've made in my life and my training. So, but that's pretty much it. One of the other things I did want to touch on is in terms of when you're riding on the route, I'll talk about safety and stuff like that, but when you're riding, in USAT rules, you're not supposed to be within 6 feet of the bike in front of you because you could be drafting. And so it's just smart to stay to the right too, always, unless you're passing. And just like if you're out there riding, one, you can't have music, don't do it. You can't hear. I've had people on, I do Legacy a lot, and I tell you, people are like, I'm like, on your left! You're supposed to say on your left when you're coming up. They cannot hear because they've got their headphones in, and it's so dangerous, even on Legacy, even without cars, because, you know, they're not paying attention, and they're weaving, and they're not, it's just dangerous. So don't, especially in a race, don't have your headphones. If you see someone with them, if I see them, I tell them, no, you can't have that. Even on the run, I don't think it's good. Because when I run, I use ambient if I do use them on the run. And matter of fact, even better, I just turn my phone loud and have it in a pocket. I have a little pockets that I like to carry, a little baggie, and I can hear fine. Everyone else around me can enjoy it for a few seconds, wherever it passes, whatever. You know what I mean? It's important to so you can hear. Anyway, so yes, talk. You're in a race, even then talk. Now I'm coming up, I'm gonna kick your butt. No, just not like that. It's kind of like I'm coming up on your left. I'm gonna pass you. You know, be courteous of that, and don't cut people off, and that kind of thing. It's not close to traffic. You have to be careful. So, all right. Any questions we have on transition? How do you set it up? Yeah.
I guess it's not specific transition. You mentioned compression socks. Do you wear them during races or after races?
I do wear them during running races. Triathlon is a little harder. I might wear a calf sleeve, but they're considered a help if you have a short, and plus they're wet. So it's a little bit different during races, but I do use the Elite Trotter compression. I have a discount code. They're great. Love it. And they just came out with silkies. They're a little thinner, which is super nice. My calves get tight anyway, but it promotes recovery. It encourages recovery. I believe in cryotherapy too. I remember icing. They tell us to do that in high school, and I was like, I don't think I understood why. But now that I understand the science behind it, I go, okay, I get it. I understand why people ice now. Very easy to do in the winter. Just pack my legs in snow. You'll see pictures of me on my Instagram of that done. It's so easy. Much easier than the ice bath. I actually have cryo compression pants now that circulate ice as well as compression, so not everyone can probably get those. They're kind of expensive, but if you do this a lot, it gets my glutes and everything. It's my whole entire leg, which is nice. But yeah, I
I can teach you about cryotherapy. It's so beneficial. Y'all, cryotherapy, you've heard of it before, all that stuff. And they have booths, and I've done the freeze thing, and that is very beneficial for recovery. But if you want to get a really easy, quick recovery, is the compression socks. And I've even used Ted hose after races because they go all the way up more, and those are helpful too. So.
I get a nutrition question. You talked about nutrition during the race. What about leading up to it? Like, and I'm thinking less for something like this, more for a longer.
I have a whole video on how race nutrition for Ironman and marathon, and I have an article on my website. If you're on that list, a newsletter list, does everybody see that yellow? Have they all written on the yellow one? I will be sending you a clip on what to eat before a race, like this, a race and training. It goes true for training too. Foods that are better digestible and that kind of thing. So it's a good question. But that video clip will answer everything, and then the article as well. They're sandwiched together on that, and I'll send you guys clips on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What's the running route? Is that just the big block?
Yeah, it's the 5K that we normally do for all the races here. So you'll go out, you'll go down to pretty much that church on the corner there, or Porter, take a right. You'll notice there is a downhill. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna get faster throughout the 5K. However, not very easy in this race, because we have a downhill for your first mile, then we have an uphill, pretty good incline. You'll see that on the bike as well when we go on Glovers. But this is on Porter, and then you'll have a false flat on this backside over here. And so it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Everyone's dying. And you think you're going flat or down, and it's an up. It's a slight up, but it's pretty much a box, and we are really good at marking the course well. So it's not a problem there. But you know what? It's always good to go run it. Run it. You guys got another week or so. You go run it and see what it looks like. The maps are all on the website. And that brings up a good point. I always like to check race results before an event, if I'm doing it, if they've had previous results. And the reason why is, one, my first race, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the slowest swimmer. And so I looked at all the times and stuff. These are the fastest, these are the slowest. And then this is what I timed myself doing. Okay, I'm not the last. Makes me feel better, right? Mm-hmm. Same with you. And the ride, the same thing. You're local. You can ride the whole route and have an idea what your time could be for. And then the same with the run. You can do it. With these short races, you can do the whole entire race for a practice and be fine. Maybe not full speed, but you could do that, and that's pretty helpful. The reason I suggest doing that is I remember an Iron Girl I did in Las Vegas event, and I looked up the results, and I'm like, holy cow, everybody's transition time is like 8 minutes long, 12 minutes, and I'm like, even the fastest per people. And that's when I discovered what is going on with the course. The run after swim to transition was very long. And so I learned, oh my gosh, I need to learn. Okay, I ended up bringing shoes to run in. Not just the slip-ons that I could run in. If I wouldn't have had that, I would have been running on hot concrete, or hot asphalt, thank you, it's black. And I didn't know that if I wouldn't have checked results, I wouldn't have known. So it's not about winning, it's about understanding the race. So you know what, it's important for you to look up and understand the route and understand the times and understand what's reasonable for you and goals. That helps you prepare better for the race, and you're gonna have a better experience. I want you to have a good experience, because then you will want to do these more and more and more. And eventually you'll hire me for help, right? Once I learned the cycling skill, it became fun, because I was actually improving. And same with swimming, and same with anything. If I teach you running form and you are better just leaving that day, you're gonna have a better experience. It's gonna be more fun for you. So I highly encourage you to learn. So much information out there, but learn. So, any other questions? Who's ready to ride? Okay, good. Thank you for coming to my clinic today. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, you can always visit my website at blonderunner.com. I also have a YouTube account at The Blonde Runner, and you can always follow me on Instagram as well at The Blonde Runner or Coach Lora Erickson. Feel free to contact me anytime, and my contact information is on my website, blonderunner.com. Until next time, live healthy.